Shalom, brothers and sisters. And once again, what can I say? This is another edition concerning Solid Foundation Israelite Academy. I am your host, Shabar Judah ben Israel. We're going to get straight in and we're going to get out. Double honors to the elders, salutations to the Akim that's preaching and teaching this truth in season and out of season, in sincerity, edifying the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which is truly the biblical Israelites, according to heritage and the prophecies of this Bible. Last but not least, we give all praises and glorification and due honor to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus the Christ. So we're going to blow the shofar and we'll get with the lesson. This lesson today is concerning kings and prophets of Israel. Kings and prophets of Israel. If you can't see it, I'll blow it up for you. Kings and prophets of Israel. Take mistakes for love, because this shofar right here can be extremely hard to blow. Those of you who have not experienced blowing a shofar, you can only experience it when you get one, man. It takes meditation and concentration to sound off the shofar. It's not just putting your lips to it and blowing it. But, brothers and sisters, let's go on to this lesson. Kings and prophets of Israel, okay? So now, this is page 107 of The Complete Guide to the Bible by Stephen Miller. And I'm going to show you how this book looks. Alright? So, this whole entire book is not correct. I'm going to tell you right now. This is just partially a commentary of another man's opinions. And we don't read commentaries. Alright? We use precept upon precept to get the understanding of the Bible. You might want to check out that lesson. I did a lesson called Precept Upon Precept. S.F.I.A. Precept Upon Precept. You might want to look into that lesson as well. To know how we get the proper correction in the breakdown of the scriptures concerning Isaiah 28 and 10. We read precept upon precept. We don't really rely on anyone's commentaries. But for this lesson, this guy, however, Stephen Miller, does have some correct information in this book concerning the complete guide to the Bible. So we're going into page 107. As you can see it up to the top, page 107. And it talks about, what do you know, the kings of Israel. So let's go and zoom in right quick. 450 years of kings. Now, as you can see, when you talk about the kings of Israel, you need to first understand who are the Israelites. Now, the Israelites, brothers and sisters, concerning the 12 tribes, are the modern day blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Modern day blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are the Israelites, the people of Negroid and Indian descent. The so-called Afro-Americans, black people, African Americans, what they love to call us niggers. We are the real Jews. We are from the tribe of Judah. You have the West Indian Negroes, who they know as Jamaicans. They are from the tribe of Benjamin. You have the Haitians, who better yet is known as from the Levites of the Bible, which is from the tribe of Levi. The so-called Dominicans from the Dominican Republic down in the Caribbean islands are from the tribe of Simeon. Guatemalans to Panama, Central America, so to speak, what they love to call Latin America, Central America, from down from Guatemala to Panama to the Panamanian Canal. They are the Zebulonites from the tribe of Zebulun. Puerto Ricans, so-called Puerto Ricans, the land, the Spaniards called it the Puerto Riches. Puerto Ricans today, that's not really who you are. That Puerto Rico is a location, Puerto Riches. But the so-called Puerto Ricans are the Ephraimites today. You have the Cubans, so-called Cubans down in, also in the Caribbean, Cuba. You are known as the Manasserites from the tribe of Manasseh, so-called Native Americans. Within the Native Americans, you have like three primary Native Indians, which you have the North American Indians, you have the North American Indians, Central American Indians, and South American Indians. The Native American Indians, you know, just to give you a few tribes: Chickasaw, Choctaw, Navajo, Cherokee, Sioux Indians, Blackfoot. You are actually from the tribe of Gad. You have the Seminole Indians down in the Everglades of Florida, South Florida. The Seminole Indians down in the Everglades of South Florida is the Reubenites, okay, which actually is the firstborn son of all these tribes, okay. And you have Naphtali, Argentina to Chile, which is southern Brazil. Argentina to Chile. You guys down in Argentina to Chile, the southern Brazil, are actually from the tribe of Naphtali, some may call Naphtali. And you have the Colombians to Uruguay. The Colombians to Uruguay, which is located also in South America, Brazil. You guys are Asher, from the tribe of Asher. And then you have the so-called Mexicans, okay? Mexico, which is also part of Central America. Mexico, Latin America. You guys, you so-called Mexicans, are the Issacharites from the tribe of Issachar. So when you look at the 12 tribes of Israel, this consists of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the people of Negroid and Indian descent. You are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. And the reason why I brought this out, because we're going to be talking about kings of Israel. So when you read the Bible, just know that the Bible is talking about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as the 12 tribes, trying to unify all the people of Negroid and Indian together back as one nation. That's what the Bible is all about. So when you read about 450 years of kings, those 450 years of kings was basically the modern day blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But the so-called white man have taken the Bible and whitewashed the Bible to get blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to believe that the Bible is the white man's book. And therefore, when you read the Bible, blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, if you don't have the proper understanding, you would think you're reading about someone else's history. But no, when you read the Bible is a history of the people of Negroid and Indian descent. So that's your history book. The Bible is your history book. The Bible is your book. The Bible is your book. The people that's located on this post, the Bible is your book. And it's not the white man's book. So when you read about 450 years of kings, just know that it's talking about you, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And it's not talking about the crackers. It's not talking about the so-called white man, the white woman, or his devilish children. It's not talking about the crackers, man. It's talking about the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So let's get into the history. We know that Israel was a united kingdom. As you can see, Israel was a united kingdom, people. But something happened to the nation of Israel, and it became a dissected kingdom. So when Israel was a united kingdom, you had three primary kings. That's what you see right here. I scanned this from this page. I scanned the book, and this is page 107, once again, from what you would call the complete guide to the Bible. That's page 107. This is the book that we're in. And I scanned that page, okay? Page 107, to show you the kings of Israel. Now, when Israel was a united kingdom, as you see right here, Israel was a united kingdom altogether. There were three primary kings. The first king that became the king of united Israel was Saul. Saul becomes king about 1050 BC, as you can see. And then eventually it passed from Saul to David, and then from David to his son Solomon. So you had three primary kings that ruled over Israel when they was intact, when they was the whole 12 tribes before they was dissected. You had three kings to rule over all these 12 tribes, and those kings were Saul, David, and Solomon. Now we know eventually Israel became a dissected kingdom. So Israel became like this. Let me show you. Wait a minute. Israel was like this in the beginning, and then eventually it became a dissected kingdom. What do I mean by that? Israel was parted. It was separated. You had the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom of Israel. Let's go into 1 Kings, the 11th chapter, just to show you that Israel became a dissected kingdom. How did Israel become a dissected kingdom? Israel became a dissected kingdom through King Solomon's sin. 1 Kings 11:1. But King Solomon loved many strange women together, with the daughter of Pharaoh, woman of the Moabites, which is modern day Chinese, Ammonites, which is modern day Japanese, Edomites, which is modern day white people, and Zidonians, which is Africans, and Hittites, which is Africans. So altogether, King Solomon loved many strange women. When you see strange women in the Bible, brothers and sisters, strange women are pointing to women which is outside the nation of Israel. Okay, King Solomon loved many women that was not within the nation of Israel. You have women that are not part of this nation of Israel. And I will show you these strange women. And as you can see, when it said King Solomon loved many strange women, these are women outside of Israel, which is in the red box. You know, it said Edomites. King Solomon loved Edomites. You know, it said, did it not say that King Solomon loved Edomites? You see that? Well, I'm showing you the Edomites. Edomites are so-called white people. So King Solomon loved white women. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you're not to take upon a white woman. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American men are not to take upon a white woman. And you know, have relations with white women. That's what I'm trying to show you. King Solomon loved Edomites. Not only did he love Edomites, he loved Ammonites. Now the Ammonites are right here, number 8, which is Ammon. Those are Japanese women. So King Solomon loved Japanese women. You understand? I'm just showing you. So he loved white woman, Japanese woman, and he loved Moabites. Now who are the Moabites? Going back to the table of nations. The Moabites are number 7. Moab, which is Chinese. So King Solomon loved Chinese women too. You understand? So he loved altogether Chinese woman, Japanese woman, and white woman, and Zidonians. Who is Zidon? Zidon is the firstborn son of Canaan, which goes back to Hamitic tribes, which is Africans, and also the Hittites. So altogether, King Solomon loved Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, basically Chinese, Japanese, white, and African women. That's what Solomon loved. And those are known as strange women. Why? Because those women are not part of the nation of Israel. And any woman that is not an Israelite is known as a strange woman. And strange woman is located in these red boxes. White woman, East Indian woman, Assyrian woman, Arab woman, Chinese woman, Japanese woman, Ethiopian woman, Egyptian woman, North African woman, woman of Libya, South African woman, woman of Canaan, and Turkish, Russian, Greek, German, all these in the red box. If you take a woman of these in the red box, you have literally took upon a strange woman, because these women don't come from your nation, which is Israel. So you have to, if you want, if the Bible says that we ought to take upon a woman of our own kindred. So you have to marry a woman within the nation of Israel, a woman of Negro ending in descent, which is on this 12 tribe list. If you go off and marry another woman that's not on this 12 tribe list, you go off and take upon a strange woman in the red box, then basically you have what the Bible say, sin before the Most High, man. Okay? Because the Most High is against interracial marriage. 1 Kings 11:2. You're going to find out that's what caused the nation of Israel to be dissected. That's what caused Israel as a nation to become severed. You understand? So, moving on. 1 Kings 11:2. Of the nations concerning which the Lord Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come into you. Now we know that Israel did go off and marry other woman, other strange woman that was not part of their nation. You know, me personally, I don't think it was the woman. I don't think it was a capital offense for an Israelite to go off and marry a strange woman. I think the capital offense was that the Most High knew that these strange women would turn the Israelite men from following him, because those strange women had their own customs and philosophies, as you can see right here in the red box. These nations already got their customs and philosophies. The Most High knew Israelite men. If an Israelite man from number 1 took upon a woman of in the red box, eventually those women would make his heart stray away into dipping and dabbing in their philosophies and their customs and worshiping their gods. I think that's what that was really their capital offense. It wasn't so much of an offense of Solomon going off and intermingling with the woman, having sexual relations with the woman. I think the capital offense came in, whereas these strange women had their own gods and philosophies. And that's what led Solomon's heart away from the Most High, by following after these women philosophies and gods. However, I don't think just the the sexual intercourse was a capital offense. But however, I wouldn't recommend you Israelite guys to have any sexual dealings with the heathens, just to be on the safe side. But anyways, 1 Kings 11:2, of the nations concerning which the Lord Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come into you. So we don't supposed to give our sons and daughters, if you're an Israelite, we don't supposed to give our sons and daughters to any heathen nations in this red box. And we don't supposed to give our sons and daughters to them. They don't supposed to give their sons and daughters to us. That's interracial marriage. The Most High is against that. And that's what caused, I'm going to say it again, that's what caused the nation of Israel to become a dissected nation, man. A dissected nation. All right, on the behalf of what Solomon did. You know, for surely, as 1 Kings 11:2 says, they would turn away your heart after their gods. See? So Solomon clave to these in love. So you don't supposed to love, fall in love basically with these heathen women. You understand? Now, like I said, let's just say, for instance, you're an Israelite man. You're a Negro of the ending in descent of the nation of Israel. You're an Israelite man. You went off and popped one of these heathen women. You just had, you know what I'm saying? You probably pay a particular heathen woman to get your rocks off. You understand? Man, basically, I can't justify that. I don't know how the Most High look at that. But if you just pop one of these heathen women to get your rocks off, and then you go about your business, that's not falling in love. That's not falling in love with these heathen women. You know what I'm saying? That's just getting your rocks off and handling your business and going on. Now, I wouldn't recommend you as an Israelite to go off and like pay a heathen woman to have sex. Now, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying it's a difference in popping a heathen woman, and it's a difference of having sex with a heathen woman and falling in love. Solomon, however, clave to these women in love. You understand? It would have been a different story if he would have just simply popped these women and kept it moving. But he fell in love with these women, and falling in love with these heathen women, they're going to lead your heart astray to worshiping their gods and philosophies. And that's what happened to King Solomon. You understand? They led King Solomon heart away into worshiping their gods, and the Most High became angry with Solomon and caused the 12 tribes of Israel to become dissected into a servant kingdom, as you can see right here. All right? So to make a long story short, Solomon took strange woman and fell in love with them, whereas it would have been better off of him popping the woman and just throwing him to the side. You understand? So 1 Kings 11:3, he had 700 wives. Now his wives was from the nation of Israel. He had 700 wives, 700 Israelite women, so to speak. And then he said princesses, and it says, and 300 concubines. Now concubines are not from the nation of Israel. Concubines are not from the 12 tribes of Israel. Concubines are women that's on the outside of Israel, which is woman in the red box. Heathen woman. A heathen woman is known as strange woman. So concubines goes back to strange woman. Okay, but Solomon's 700 wives was Israelite women from his nation. You understand? And the 300 concubine women was not of the nation of Israel. They were heathen women from other nations. So when you look at the term concubine, those are women that are outside of Israel, that are not Israelite women. And wives, and it says, it wasn't his 700 wives that turned his heart. Why? Because his 700 wives within the nation of Israel. In Israel, they had their laws, statutes, and commandments, and also they worshiped the Most High, Yahweh. So they had their commandments and they one true God. So you can't go off by marrying an Israelite woman, because guess what? She has the laws, statutes, and commandments in the heavenly Father. You can't go off by marrying an Israelite woman because she's of your nation. But you can go off by taking upon another strange woman from another nation. Why? Because they got totally different gods and philosophies. You understand? So that's what happened. It wasn't the 700 wives that turned Solomon's heart from the Most High. It was these damn 300 concubines. Why? Because they wasn't from the nation of Israel. They wasn't from the nation of Israel. They was from a total different nation that had total different gods and philosophies. And it wasn't the 700. It wasn't the 700 wives that turned Solomon's heart. It was these damn 300 concubines. It was these Chinese, it was these Japanese, it was these white women and these African women. Those were the 300 concubines that he took. And those wives, 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. Even though it says wives right here, just remember that these were not actual wives of Solomon. These were known as concubines. The word wife just goes back to servant. They were just serving him. You understand? So it was the concubines that really turned his heart away from the Most High. 1 Kings 11:4. For it came to pass when Solomon was old, when he growed up, when he was in old age, that his wives turned away his heart. Now, it wasn't talking about the 700 wives, because those wives were from the nation of Israel, right? But it's talking about these concubines, right, from other nations, which is in the red box. Those are the one that primarily did what? Turned away his heart. You understand? So when it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wife turned away his heart. These wives are talking about the concubines after other gods. See? These were Moabites, Japanese, white, and African women that turned Solomon's heart to following what? To following after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Most High Yahweh, his power, as was the heart of his David father. And for this, it says that 11:6 of 1 Kings, Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord Yahweh, and went not fully after the Yahweh, the Lord, as David his father did. You know what I'm saying? And then Solomon, now remember now, why did he do evil in the sight of the Lord? Why did he do evil in the sight of the Most High? Because he fell in love. It's a difference, man. It's a difference upon taking a concubine, popping a concubine, throwing to the side. Whereas you taking a concubine, popping a concubine, falling in love with the concubine, and treating a concubine as though one of your wives of your nation. You're going to find out that Solomon fell in love with these concubine women, and he did anything to please these concubine women. Now, what some of the things he did? It says Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord. He not went fully after the Lord. And you find out in 1 Kings 11:7. Then Solomon built high places. Basically, Solomon built pagan temples, man, for Chemos in the abomination of Moab, and the hill that is before Jerusalem, and Molech. You see, that's a wicked ass pagan god, Molech. So Solomon built temples for these wicked pagan gods, the abomination of the children of Ammon. So it says that Solomon built a temple to worship Molech on the behalf of the children of Ammon, because he married Japanese women. See that? 1 Kings 11:8. And likewise did he for all his strange wives. He didn't do it for his 700 wives. Why? Because his 700 wives came from his nation. He did it for strange wives, concerning 1 Kings 11:8. And these strange wives were women of other nations that served diverse gods. So that's the capital offense of an Israelite man taking upon a heathen woman. You understand? And falling in love with a heathen woman. If you go out, you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't recommend you to do this. But if you did have a heathen woman, you're not to fall in love with a heathen woman, Israelite man. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, if you mess around with a heathen woman, make sure you don't cleave to these heathen women in love. Pop her ass and throw her to the side, man. You understand? And get your Israelite woman, man. For real. Do what you got to do. Just make sure that you don't fall in love with these heathen women in the red box. That's what Solomon did. It really wasn't no offense of him popping the concubines, because you could take a concubine. It just was the simple fact he fell in love with the concubines, and they led his heart astray. So it's not the 700 wives that he had. It's those 300 concubines, which were strange wives, which led his heart away, which burnt incense and sacrifice to their God. Solomon started doing this. And when he started doing all of that, it says 1 Kings 11:9, the Most High, Yahweh, the Lord, was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from the Lord, God, Yahweh, power of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. 1 Kings 11:10, and had commended him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. You understand? So to fall in love with heathen women is to go after other gods. To fall in love with heathen woman is to go after other gods. If you take upon a heathen woman, you pop her ass and throw her to the side. That's differently, man. Now, I'm not recommending you guys to do that, but I'm just making a perfect illustration. There's different than taking a heathen woman and falling in love. Many blacks, Hispanics, and Native American men have took heathen woman and fell in love with the heathen woman. You understand? And treating them as though wives, treating them as though they the women of Israel, when they are not. They're concubines. So that was the capital offense of Solomon. But he kept not that which the Lord commanded. So you're going to find out all because of this, Solomon caused the nation of Israel to become dissected and servant, man. And we'll show you that. And this is on the behalf of, this is on the behalf of us talking about kings and prophets of Israel. Okay? So it goes on down to, let's look at, for the sake of time, I'm going to skip down a little bit. 1 Kings 11 and, let's see, 11. Wherefore the Lord said to Solomon, Yahweh, the Most High said to Solomon, David's son, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I commanded thee, he said that the Most High told Solomon, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee and will give it to thy servant. So what does he mean in 1 Kings 11:11 that he will rend the kingdom from Solomon? He was going to take partial of the tribes from Solomon. And Israel was going to end up looking like this, man. A dissected kingdom. Okay? 1 Kings 11:12, notwithstanding in thy days, I will not do it for David's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. So he told Solomon, I'm not going to split the kingdom up right now as far as you ruling over it, because Solomon was the last king to rule over Israel when it was united as all 12 tribes, as we showed you here. So you can see that it started with Saul, it started with David, and then Solomon was the last of the three primary kings that ruled over Israel as a whole entire nation as 12 tribes. Solomon was the last king to rule over Israel when it was united. And it says that's why he said in 1 Kings 11:12, but I will rend it out of thy hand. I will rend it out of the hand of thy son, because he didn't actually tear it from the hand of Solomon. It's when Solomon's son came into kingship. That's when Israel became a dissected kingdom. Okay, but he didn't do it when Solomon was living, because he said, notwithstanding in your days, I will not do it for David's sake. All because of the sake of David. I promised David. He said, in your days, Solomon, I'm not going to split the kingdom up to a dissected kingdom. I'm not going to split Israel up into a dissected nation. But he said, when your son come into kingship, I will rend it from his hand, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. In 1 Kings 11:13, howbeit I will not rend it away, I will not rend all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake. So he told Solomon, when your son come into power, I was going to give one of these tribes to your son. And the son, one of the tribes that he gave to Rehoboam, which was Solomon's son, was Benjamin. Okay, so when Rehoboam came into power, Solomon's son Rehoboam, when he came into power, he gave Rehoboam making the tribe himself, which is Judah. That one tribe that he was talking about giving was Benjamin. You understand? And you know, partial Levites stayed behind too. So actually Judah, Benjamin, and Levi end up being the southern kingdom, whereas down from Simeon to Issachar end up being the northern kingdom. And that's how Israel became a dissected nation on the behalf of Solomon's transgression of him going off worshiping the gods of foreign women. I don't think that him having sexual intercourse with strange wives was the capital offense. I think Solomon took upon these concubine women, and when he took upon these strange wives, he fell in love with these women and just started building temples for these women. I think that was the capital offense, falling in love with the strange woman that he took, and him falling in love with these strange wives of other nations, Solomon caused the nation of Israel to become dissected, because he started building temples for these strange women, and they turned his heart away from the Most High. These strange women in the red box. You understand? So that's how Israel became from a united kingdom to a servant kingdom. You can read all about this in 1 Kings, the 11th chapter. You understand? So it goes on to say in 1 Kings 11 and 14, and the Most High Yahweh stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite, and he was of the king's seed in Edom. So I just wanted to point out the main thing, how Israel became a servant nation. You understand? And it's going to be essential to you understanding the kings and prophets of Israel. Because after King Solomon's son Rehoboam came into kingship, Israel was no longer a united nation ever again. When you read throughout the Bible, after Rehoboam came into kingship, Solomon's son, when you read throughout the Bible from on out, at the 1st and 2nd Kings, when you read through the Bible, because you got to understand these books, right? Okay. So 1st and 2nd Kings, right here, as you can see, 1st and 2nd Kings, you have 39 books in the Tanakh. I don't like to call it the Old Testament, because the Old Testament was just basically animal sacrifice. But the proper correct term for these 39 books is called a Tanakh. The Tanakh is from Genesis to Malachi. These are known as the Tanakh, or what you would call the Hebrew scriptures. You understand? The Tanakh, not the Old Testament. The Old Testament just goes by the animal sacrifice. So a better term is the Tanakh books. And within the Tanakh books, you have the Torah, which is from Genesis to Deuteronomy. That's the Torah. And then you have the writings. You have the writings. These are writings like Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, going all the way down. Like these are like writings, Ezra's, stuff like that. Those are like writings. So you have the Torah, which is the first 5 books of Moses. You have the Ketuvim, which are the writings, and then you have the Nevi'im, which is the major and minor prophets, like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. Those are major prophets. And then down from Hosea to Malachi, down from Hosea, I don't know if you can see it, down from Hosea to Malachi, you have minor prophets. So concerning these 39 books, brothers and sisters, when you read about 1st and 2nd Kings, you're reading about kings of Israel. And I don't want you to think these kings are white people, because I told you in the beginning of this lesson that all the Israelite tribes are different shades of brown. All these 12 tribes today is Negro and ending in the sense. So the white man ain't got a goddamn thing to do with the Bible. So when you're reading about 1st and 2nd Kings in your Bible, you're reading about melanated people. You're reading basically about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Okay? So when you read about 1st and 2nd Kings here, 1st and 2nd Kings, the main purpose is the book of Kings is a prophetic view of Israel history. The book answers the question, why did God allow Israel to be taken into exile? To understand this question, a quick overview of the history in the book of Kings is important. After David died, he named Solomon as his successor. Solomon's kingdom experienced peace and prosperity, but showed signs of rebellion against God. After Solomon's death in about 931 BC, the kingdom of Israel became divided. And that's what I was telling you guys, between Rehoboam, which was Solomon's son, and Jeroboam, okay, which eventually became the king for the northern Israel. The kingdom of Israel in the north followed Jeroboam and established its capital in Samaria. But the kingdom of Judah in the south remained with Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, and the capital of Jerusalem, the city of David. The history of both kingdoms is filled. Let's go back to, because this is the outline of 1st and 2nd Kings, what I'm reading about. So, concerning the 12 tribes of Israel, the history of both kingdoms is filled with rebellion. Okay, because Israel became a dissected kingdom. So the history of both kingdoms is filled with rebellion, internal struggles, abuse, greed, and idolatry. Even the good kings, like Hezekiah, which we would talk about, and Josiah, show very human limitations. The ministry of Elijah and Elisha show the spiritual state of the kingdoms as represented by their kings. So you need to understand, when you're reading about 1st and 2nd Kings in the Bible, when you're reading about right here 1st and 2nd Kings, when you're reading about 1st and 2nd Kings, it's just the purpose of this is to show you that it's talking about Israel history. You know, how Israel became from a united kingdom to a severed kingdom. That's all it's talking about when you read about 1st and 2nd Kings. And that's why this lesson is titled Kings and Prophets of Israel, as you can see. And all these kings and prophets are the modern day blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you are servant today, and we're trying to unify blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans back to one kingdom again, like it was in the days of old. Because we have became a dysfunctional kingdom. We are servant today. We're trying to get basically from Simeon to Issachar down here is Latin tribes, Hispanic tribes. And from Judah to Levi up here is the Negroid tribes, the people of Negroid tribes, who they love to call niggers or black people. This is from Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Niggers, the black people, who they love to call, which are the Jews. And from Simeon to Issachar are Latin Hispanic tribes, who they call Latino. Basically, so the Bible is about blacks, so-called blacks and so-called Hispanics coming back together as one nation. You understand? Because long time ago, we became dissected. We became servant. That's all the Bible's about. A black Hispanic history book that's trying to unify these 12 tribes back to one nation. So blacks, so-called Hispanics, you need to stop the beef. You need to come together as a nation again. That's what the Bible is saying, to make a long story short, concerning kings and prophets of Israel. That's all it's talking about. So as I was saying earlier, you know, concerning the complete God, concerning this book based on the complete God of the Bible by S.F.I.A. Miller. As I was saying earlier, we was in page 107, and as we went over the 3 primary kings when Israel was a nation, when Israel was a whole nation, as 12 tribes, you had Saul, David, and Solomon to rule over Israel as of what? A whole nation. But when Solomon's son Rehoboam came into kingship, that's when Israel was dissected. As you can see, 1 Kings 11 and 12. Notwithstanding in the days, I would not do it for David, thy father's sake. So he told Solomon, the Most High told Solomon that he was not going to take the kingdom from Solomon when he was living. But he said, but I will render out of the hand of thy son. And that's when Rehoboam came into power. Solomon's son, Rehoboam, came into power. That's when Israel became what you know as a servant nation. Southern and northern Israel. During Rehoboam. So you need to know concerning the 450 years of kings of Israel. Right here, you need to know what king after Israel became a dissected nation, you need to know what king ruled over what a portion of Israel. What do I mean? You had southern and northern Israel. Let me show you something. So you need to understand, after Israel became a servant nation, you had northern Israel and southern Israel. I hope you're following me. You had northern Israel and southern Israel. Now, we showed you in this book on page 107, this book that is titled The Complete Bible Guide by S.F.I.A. Miller. We showed you in this book, because this is the book we're in, The Complete Bible Guide by S.F.I.A. Miller, and we're on page 107. We showed you that after these 3 kings ruled over Israel, when Israel was united, when Solomon's son Rehoboam got kingship, that's when Israel busted up like this. Okay? And that's what we're expounding on. You need to know, after the split of the nation of Israel, what king was what concerning southern and northern Israel. Okay, so southern Israel, Solomon's son, took hold of southern Israel, Rehoboam, Solomon's son. But Jeroboam took hold of northern Israel. And after that split, Israel was never a united kingdom again. When you read throughout the Bible, you're going to forever be reading, like when you read throughout the Bible from now on after that split, you're going to be reading about southern and northern Israel, not Israel as a whole anymore. So you need to know what particular king ruled over southern and northern Israel, and that's what this lesson is about, kings and prophets of Israel. As you can see, kings and prophets of Israel, that's what this lesson is about. So southern and northern Israel, keep that in mind. After the split, you're not reading about united Israel anymore. Okay, page 107 of the Complete Bible Guide. Now let's see who was king of southern Israel after it became a servant nation. What I'm saying is, let's see who was the king of southern Israel on the top. Who was all the kings of southern Israel? Because on the top, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi is classified as you can see, the Jews. As you can see right here, it says the southern kingdom, as you can see, was known as the Jews. Now, who are the Jews? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. This is the southern kingdom. So we need to understand what kings ruled over the southern kingdom, which is the Jews, and what kings ruled over the northern kingdom. And we'll close this out. So let's see. The southern Israelite nation, you had Rehoboam. He ruled over the southern kingdom. You had Abijam. He ruled over the southern kingdom. You had Asa. He ruled over the southern kingdom. All right. You had Jehoshaphat, he ruled over the southern kingdom. You had Jehoram, he ruled over the southern kingdom. Ahazah, if I'm saying it right. If I'm not saying these names correctly, just take the mistakes for love. All these are southern kingdom kings. Like I said, southern kingdom kings, kings of Judah. These kings don't have nothing to do with the northern kingdom of Israel. These kings is all consistent of Judah that I'm calling out. They are southern kingdom kings. To give you understanding on kings of northern and southern Israel. So we stopped on right here, right? Ahazah, all these southern kingdoms. Athaliah, I guess I'm pronouncing it. Josh, and going all the way down. Going all the way down. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Clicked out of it. Oh man, I don't know why I keep clicking out of it. But anyways, going all the way down, as you can see right here, southern Israelite nation, starting from Rehoboam, going all the way down, to Zedekiah. See that? And then the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem in 586 BC, and that's when the southern, which is the Jews, the southern Israel, right here. The Jews, that's when Babylon took the southern kingdom over, took the Jews back to Babylon. You understand? So, yeah. Page 107, concerning the Complete Guide of the Bible by Stephen Miller. He just gives you an account on 450 years of kings. Like we mentioned, Israel, when Israel was united, I'm just doing it slowly again, when Israel was all united as 12 tribes, who ruled over Israel as a united kingdom? Saul, David, and Solomon. When Israel became separated, who ruled over Israel when it became separated like this? Who ruled over Israel? Well, you had certain southern kingdom kings, you had certain northern kingdom kings. Well, we gave you all the southern kingdom kings, starting from Rehoboam, going all the way down to Zedekiah. You might want to just write this down. All these are southern Israelite kings. From Rehoboam right here, going all the way down to Zedekiah. And it was 20 southern kingdom kings, I believe. It was 20 southern kingdom kings, as you can see, 20 southern kingdom kings. And let's look at northern kingdom kings concerning northern Israel, Samaria. Let's look at northern kingdom kings. Okay, concerning the same page of 107, the Complete Bible, the Guide of the Bible by Stephen Miller, and we're actually in this book. Okay, so let's look at the northern kingdom kings. Okay, and the northern kingdom kings, you're going to find out they was all godless. What do I mean? They was all wicked. It was not one king, but then the northern Israel was good. Okay, however, in southern Israel, you had some kings that was good. But in northern Israel, it was not one king that was found righteous. All these kings was godless. Okay? And it started with Jeroboam, because Jeroboam was the first northern Israelite king to rule over northern Israel. And then after Jeroboam, you're going to find out many kings followed him. So these are northern Israelite nation, as you can see. And from Jeroboam, you got Jeroboam, Nabdad, Baasha, Allah, Zamarai, Amarai, Aha. And going all the way down, you had total 19 northern kingdom kings, which was all wicked. And you see that? And then, you know, the Assyrians destroyed Samaria in 722 BC. So actually, northern kingdom went into captivity first, because you had Assyria in 722 BC to take northern kingdom over, and then eventually in 586 BC you had Babylon to take the southern kingdom over. But we just showing you after Israel became a severed kingdom, you had certain kings that ruled over northern Israel, certain kings that ruled over southern Israel, and we just giving you the account of all the kings in page 107 of the Complete Guide to the Bible by Stephen Miller. We just giving you that account of these kings that ruled over northern and southern Israel. So you can see once again for the last time, when Israel was a united kingdom, you had Saul, David, and Solomon. They ruled over Israel when they was all intact, all 12 tribes. When Israel became subservient kingdom, you had Rehoboam, which became Solomon's son. Rehoboam became the first king of southern kingdom after it was split, which southern kingdom was known as the Jews and northern kingdom was known as Israel. Just giving you a rundown again. So it started with Rehoboam being the king of the Jews, you understand, and then going all the way down to Zedekiah being king of the Jews. And actually there was 20 kings of the Jews, and there was 19 kings of Israel, which were northern Samaria. Hope I'm making sense to you guys, as you can see. And all the northern kingdom kings were godlessness. So you had Assyrians that took over the northern kingdom, 722 BC, and then 586 BC you had Babylon that took over the southern kingdom. And after that, Israel was never a united kingdom again. You're going to read the Bible and you're going to find out it's going to talk about Israel and Judah. Israel and Judah, there was never a united kingdom again after that. After that split. After Rehoboam and after Rehoboam gained kingship, that's when the kingdom fell from a united kingdom. So keep that in mind, because when you're reading the Bible, from now on in and on out, you're going to be reading about Israel split up. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to go in some more information. Now, what caused Israel to become a split nation? Like I said, Solomon did what he did, following the god of a strange woman, and but that was all in the plan of the Most High. You know, that was all in the plan. Nothing is by chance. Everything is like predestined. So that was destined to happen. That was Solomon had to do that, man. You know what I'm saying? If y'all understand that there's no such thing as free will, your life is already predestined, because it was set up for Israel to fall. You understand? And Rehoboam, when he came in kingship, he taxed the hell out of Israel, and Israel didn't want to deal with Rehoboam. So they separated from Rehoboam, leaving only one tribe with Rehoboam. Rehoboam being Judah, from the tribe of Judah himself. And he tried to put taxes heavily on Israel, and they separated from Rehoboam, leaving one tribe, which was primarily Benjamin. You understand? And the partial of the Levites. So they became the Jews, whereas the northern kingdom became Israel, house of Israel. So keep that in mind. I want to show you something else. I hope this lesson is a wonderful lesson to you guys. I want to show you something else, because let's say when you go to Hebrews 8 and 8 in the New Testament, a lot of people don't understand this because they don't have the history of Israel becoming a servant kingdom. It says, Hebrews 8 and 8, for finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, said the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Now, what that's going back to? Israel becoming a what? A servant kingdom. Many of you may not understand this. You might, who is the house of Israel and who is the house of Judah? That's talking about the modern day blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans from these 12 tribes, which became dissected in the long run. The house, it's a lot. The house of Israel is northern Samaria, as you can see, northern. That's the house of Israel, concerning Hebrews 8 and 8. And the house of Judah is southern, the split, you know. When you put house of Israel and Judah together, it just makes the whole 12 tribes. That's who the whole entire Bible is about. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It's not about the other nations. It's not about, you know, the ones in the red box. They can kick rocks. The Bible's not their book, man. The hell with those people. The Bible's concerning number one. Who is number one? The people today of Negro and Indian in descent. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You became servant. You became dissected. And now it's time for you to unite back as one nation again. And that's blacks and Hispanics. That's all the Bible talking about. So in Hebrews 8 and 8, you have to have history of Israel becoming a dissected kingdom to understand who, when it talks about the house of Israel and the house of Judah, it's just talking about the northern and southern kingdom right here. Both of these, all these Israel, that's all it's talking about. You understand? So Hebrews 8 and 10 says, for this for this is the covenant that I would make with the house of Israel. See? So he would make the new covenant, man. The new covenant is the Messiah's blood. That was the new covenant. So the Messiah, obviously the Messiah said it is blood for Israel and Judah, which consists of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. This book is not no others. This book is not for any other heathen. It's for the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Hebrews 8 and 10. For this is the covenant that I would make with the Lord. This is the covenant that I would make with the house of Israel. After those days, said the Lord, and I will put my laws in their mind and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a God, they shall be to me a people. So Hebrews 8 and 9 said, now according to the covenant that I made with their fathers, which is their fathers. Now who is their fathers? The Israelite fathers, which was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It says, in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt. It says, in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt. Now, you tell me something. This is a question. Was all nations in the land of Egypt for 430 years as slaves? No, it was Israel, which is the modern day blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So this is talking about the blacks and Hispanics. You were the one in Egypt 430 years as slaves, because they continued not in my covenant, because the covenant was only established with Israel. The Most High didn't establish the covenant with the heathen. So the Bible is your book, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And I regarded them not, said the Lord, because he put curses on us. For this is the covenant that I would make with the house of Israel after those days. You understand? And that covenant is going down to Hebrews 8 and 13. And that he said a new covenant. That new covenant is the blood of Christ, who they call Christ, who we know as Yahushua. And his blood was only shedded for the elect of the nation of Israel. And that goes back to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He made the first. Oh, now what was the first? What was the first covenant? The first covenant was animal sacrifice. Because Israel was given the first covenant animal sacrifice from Genesis to Malachi. After the New Testament, there was no longer animal sacrifice. There was known as Christ, all right, who the world calls Christ. We know him as Yahushua. The ultimate sacrifice was the Messiah that shed his blood for the nation of Israel. See, so we're not no longer under that old covenant, which was animal sacrifice. We're under the new covenant, which is the blood of the Messiah, Yahushua, who they call Jesus the Christ. Now that which decayed and waxed old is ready to vanish away. So that first covenant, that's old, man, which is animal sacrifice. We don't sacrifice animals anymore. We're under that new covenant, which is the blood of Yahushua, which was shed for who? The Israelites. No other nation in the earth, man. It's not, his blood don't cover the heathen in the red box, if you understand the Bible correctly. Because this is not for all Israel. This is only for the elect. You understand? So we're talking about kings and prophets of Israel. All right? So let's go into page 80 right here. Now, this is page 80, and this is from the book Charting the Bible chronologically. And we'll show you what book we're in. This is the book we're in, Charting the Bible chronologically, a visual guide to God's unfolding plan. And let me remind you, this book also has bones in it as well. But we're picking out the truth of this book, Charting the Bible. And in this book, we are on, we can get rid of that. We can get rid of that. We can get rid of that. We are on page 80 in Charting the Bible. Once again, this is how this book looks. And we are on page 80 in Charting the Bible concerning the kings and prophets of Israel. So let's zoom in, brothers and sisters. I hope you see it. Let's zoom in. It says the ministry of the prophets is interspersed with the history of the kings of Israel and Judah. The Hebrew prophets proclaimed messages that were direct revelations from God. The books of prophecy, known as the latter prophets in the Hebrew Bible, were books of both preaching and predicting. The word of the Lord was revealed to the prophets by the Holy Spirit. Okay, that's what revealed the word of the Lord to the prophet, the Holy Spirit. It says, and communicated to the people with powerful conviction and precise accuracy. Their messages were rooted in history, but also extended into the future by means of predicted prophecy. Thus, the prophets spoke to their own generation. The prophets spoke to their own generation, which were the Israelites, through their preaching and to future generations through their predictions. The English Bible includes 5 books, commonly termed the major prophets, and the 12 books often called the minor prophets. So what I mean by that, let's give you a rundown. You have major and minor prophets. Understanding kings and prophets of Israel. These are the major prophets. These are major prophets. Isaiah, Jeremiah, don't even count Lamentations, because Lamentations was written by Jeremiah. That's why I have this circled. Jeremiah wrote the book of Lamentations as well. All right. So you have Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. Those are 4 major prophets. Isaiah prophesied that God is with us, because Isaiah had a son by the name of Mahashabaz, which they call him Emmanuel. So Emmanuel is not who they call Jesus the Christ. Just to bust your bubble. Emmanuel was Isaiah's son, which they call Mahashabaz. And Emmanuel means God is with us. Isaiah's son was Emmanuel. Okay, which means God is with us. If you don't believe me, you don't have to believe me. Look it up. But Jesus the Christ, who they call Christ, who we know as Yahushua, was not Emmanuel. Emmanuel is simply Isaiah's son, which goes back to God is with us. Okay? All right, then you have Jeremiah. Jeremiah prophesied that the Babylonians was coming in on the Jews to destroy them, to eradicate the Jews. And then you have Lamentations that speak of Jerusalem is burning, which was written by Jeremiah as well. Ezekiel prophesied the glory that will return to the Israelites. Daniel prophesied the Messiah that will return to set up his kingdom to the Israelites. And through these 4 people, you have what you would call 4 major prophets. The minor prophets contains the 12 books from Hosea to Malachi and comprise the final section of the Old Testament. So once again, the 4 major prophets is from Isaiah to Daniel. So when we go into the 39 books, which is the Tanakh, we go into these 39 books from Genesis all the way to the 39 books from Genesis all the way to Malachi. The major prophets, the 5 books consisting of major prophets is Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, and Daniel. Now, keep in mind, Jeremiah also wrote Lamentations. So you have actually 4 major prophets. Isaiah 1, Jeremiah 2, Ezekiel 3, and Daniel 4. Those are the 4 major prophets. After the 4 major prophets, you have 12 minor prophets, which is from Hosea down to Malachi. And after Malachi, you will go into the Apocryphal books. And after the Apocryphal books, then you have the New Testament. So remember, your 4 major prophets are, the 4 major prophets is Isaiah 1, Jeremiah 2, Don't count Lamentations because Jeremiah wrote Lamentations as well. Ezekiel 3 and Daniel 4. The 4 major prophets. After the 4 major prophets, you go into the 12 minor prophets, which is Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, down to Malachi. Okay, so you need to understand there are major and minor prophets. The major prophets, once again, is from Isaiah to Daniel, and the minor prophet is from Hosea to Malachi. You have 12 minor prophets. Now, I know this may be deep for you guys, but the 12 minor prophets, which is from Hosea to Malachi, is the 12 disciples in the reincarnation, man. He that have ear to hear, let him hear. This is not for the entire nation of Israel. Only the elect, the 33.3%, is going to understand the deep, dark sayings. This is not for you guys that is not part of the elect by faith. This is only for the elect. So I'm going to get deep with this. And if you're not on the train, you're going to fall off, man. Once again, Hosea down to Malachi is 12. And those 12 minor prophets, was the 12 disciples in the reincarnation, man. That came back reincarnated. Okay? That's another lesson within itself. So understand, there are 4 major prophets, Isaiah to Daniel, and also there are minor prophets, which are 12 books from Hosea to Malachi. Okay? Understand that, please. We're talking about kings and prophets of Israel. This is on page, let's see, wait a minute. This is on page 80 in the book Charting the Bible. Now we still in this book, so we're gonna go to several other pages in Charting the Bible. So let's go to another page in Charting the Bible. Let's go to page 81 in Charting the Bible. Now the Old Testament prophets. The Old Testament prophets. I know this is a long lesson, but this is imperative. You will be satisfied after this lesson because you will know which particular prophet was what. The Old Testament prophets. Let's zoom in of the Old Testament prophets. Okay. The Old Testament prophets. Okay. When you read the book of Obadiah, Obadiah speaks of the doom of Edom. Know that Obadiah was a southern kingdom prophet. Know that Obadiah was a southern kingdom prophet. Okay? So when you in the Bible, and let's see right here, see it says, Obadiah. You need to know what kingdom Obadiah was from. You understand? Was Obadiah from the southern or the northern kingdom? Was Obadiah a southern kingdom prophet of Judah, or was Obadiah a northern kingdom prophet of Israel? You need to understand that through your whole Bible when you read certain books. Was Obadiah a southern kingdom prophet, or was he a northern kingdom prophet? Well, you're going to find out that Obadiah was a southern kingdom prophet. That's why it says Judah. Judah consists right here of southern kingdom. So Obadiah was a southern kingdom prophet. So when you read about the book of Obadiah, know that Obadiah was prophesying to what kingdom? He was prophesying to the southern kingdom, not the northern kingdom. So you got to understand that for each prophet. Going on with kings of Israel. When you read the book of Jonah, concerning the universal concern, Jonah was not a southern kingdom prophet. Jonah was a northern kingdom prophet. All right? Jonah was a northern kingdom prophet. So when you read it in your Bible concerning the book of Jonah, right here, you read it in your Bible concerning the book of Jonah, know that Jonah was not a southern kingdom prophet. Jonah was a northern kingdom prophet. So Jonah was prophesying to who in his days? The northern kingdom, which is house of Israel. Y'all need to understand this. This is very essential. Hosea speaks about unquenchable love. Hosea was also a northern kingdom prophet. So when you read in your Bible concerning the book of Hosea, who was Hosea reaching out to? The southern kingdom or the northern kingdom? Hosea was prophesying in his scripts to the northern kingdom. Hosea was prophesying to the northern kingdom. Okay, moving on. When you read about Micah, which talks about divine lawsuit, what prophet was he? After the dissected kingdom. Which prophet did he belong to, the northern or the southern kingdom? Micaiah was a southern kingdom prophet, which is Judah, as you can see right here. So, when you're reading about Micah or Micaiah, however you want to talk about it, however you want to state it, when you're reading about Micah or Micaiah, Micah, I'm going to say Micah, he was a southern kingdom prophet that prophesied to what kingdom out there was split? The Jews. Okay, this is very important. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you this breakdown, brothers and sisters. I'm giving you some important information, whether you believe it or not. Going over here. When you read about Joel, Joel speaks about the day of the Lord return. When you read about Joel, Joel was a southern kingdom prophet. So, when you read in your Bible, and you are in the book of Joel, know that Joel was a southern kingdom prophet which was reaching out to what kingdom? The Jews, the southern kingdom. He wasn't reaching out to the northern kingdom. He was a southern kingdom prophet. You understand? Moving on. When you come across Amos, which talks about ultimate justice, what prophet Amos belonged to? The southern or the northern kingdom after Israel became split. Amos was simply the northern kingdom prophet. So when you read in the book of Amos, in your Bible, when you come across the book of Amos here, know that Amos was not a southern kingdom prophet. Amos reached out to what kingdom? He reached out to the northern kingdom, the house of Israel. Okay? As you can see, Amos, Israel. When you read about Isaiah, you may see an M here. The reason why you see an M here, because Isaiah was what? Let's not forget, a major prophet. So, even though Isaiah being a major prophet, who was he a prophet to? The northern or the southern kingdom? Isaiah was a prophet to the southern kingdom, Judah. So, once again, when you're reading about the book of Isaiah, here, know that Isaiah was reaching out to who? The southern kingdom of Israel, which consists of the Jews, southern kingdom. Moving on. Okay, moving on. It's a very imperative, it's very essential, it's very vital that you know this, okay? I don't know if we went over Obadiah, but as you can see, Obadiah, when you read the book of Obadiah, that speaks of the southern kingdom. Obadiah was reaching out to the southern kingdom. He viewed all of this. When you read Joel, like I say, just write all this down. If you want to pause the video, just write all this down, man. These are the prophets of the northern and southern kingdom. And you can see it for yourself. Like Haggai. When you read the book of Haggai, he was reaching out to the southern kingdom. Didn't have nothing to do with the northern kingdom. You understand? When you read Ezekiel, that M right there stands for major prophet. Ezekiel was a major prophet that reached out to Judah. It reached out to the southern kingdom. Ezekiel didn't reach out primarily to the northern kingdom. You see that when you read about Habakkuk. Habakkuk talks about the destruction of Babylon. Now in the middle is the titles. Ezekiel talks about the glory will return to the Lord. Habakkuk talked about the destruction of Babylon. Was Habakkuk a northern kingdom prophet? No, he was the southern kingdom prophet. So when you read about the book of Habakkuk, know that Habakkuk talking about the southern kingdom. Zephaniah, was he a northern kingdom prophet or southern kingdom prophet? When you read about Zephaniah, know that he was reaching out to the southern kingdom, talking about the disaster is imminent. He was reaching out to the southern kingdom. So these are letting you know what prophets was over the kingdoms of Israel after they became split, man. You need to understand that. So when you're reading these books, you'll have an understanding. Just write all this down. You understand? Jeremiah was a major prophet that reached out to the southern kingdom and told the southern kingdom the Babylonians were coming. Jeremiah also wrote Lamentation that spoke about Jerusalem was burning down. And he was a southern kingdom prophet. Nahum was a southern kingdom prophet that talks about the destruction of Nineveh. You understand? And so forth. Just write all this stuff down for the sake of time. I don't want to make this video too long. Just write all this stuff down concerning the kings and prophets of Israel. You know, we still in turning the Bible, going over to page 82. Going over to page 82 and charting the Bible. Charting the Bible chronologically. The vision of God to God's unfolding plan. We're skipping over to page 82. As you can see. And I'm not pulling your leg, man. You can see the minor prophets to the northern kingdom. These are minor prophets to the northern kingdom. Hosea was a northern kingdom prophet. Amos was a northern kingdom prophet. As you can see. Hope you can see. Okay. If you cannot see, we'll kind of slide this over for you. Hosea was a northern kingdom prophet. That NK is northern kingdom. Amos was a northern kingdom prophet. Jonah was a northern kingdom prophet. What about southern kingdom prophets? Minor prophets. Because these are minor prophets. All these are minor prophets. Hosea, Amos, Jonah are minor prophets. They were minor prophets, but all minor prophets is not prophets to a particular kingdom. You don't have all minor prophets to the northern kingdom. You got certain minor prophets with prophets to the northern kingdom, certain minor prophets with prophets to the southern kingdom. And as you can see, Hosea, Amos, and Jonah were northern minor prophets, but they was prophets to the northern kingdom. As you can see, minor prophets down here, that was to the southern kingdom. Joel, Obadiah, Micaiah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, and also Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. You understand? So I hope I was a blessing to you guys, or let's say a bliss to you guys. You know, I was told that to use bless is to be less. But however you want to call it, blissful information. I hope I was blissful to you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans concerning kings and prophets of Israel. And this has been another edition concerning Solid Foundation Israelite Academy. I hope you was well edified with this video. Share the truth, spread the knowledge, help others, man. Subscribe. Please help us out. Subscribe. We need subscribers. Help us out. And hopefully we can get where we need to be until next lesson. Thank you for your time. Shalom.